So any questions?
No questions.
Great, very good. All right, let's start with this. And
right.
What I'd like you to do is just take a minute to review the following information. Again, for those of you in the audience, I have provided Dr. Mayfield a data sheet that contains trend information on enrollment by age, gender, and service area, awards conferred by gender, race, GEDs obtained, adult education, developmental ed, Pell Awards, retention data, and related information from Shelton State. And we'll ask her just to take a look at that and take whatever amount of time she needs to review it. And then I'd like you to respond to two questions. One is, what do you glean from this information? And two, in developing a vision and a strategic plan for the college, what additional information would you look for, and what would be your approach in reviewing and interpreting these data?
Well, just initially looking at these, the basic data is here. However, in preparing a strategic plan and looking at the college's vision moving forward, I would need to take a closer look by doing a SWOT analysis, and of course that would involve much more data that is here in this particular document. Additionally, I would be concerned with getting outside input and feedback. That would be part of the SWOT analysis that I would do in preparing for the overall strategic plan. I do see some things looking at the data that are not here. I would have questions about perhaps distance learning. I don't see any information about e-learning enrollments, perhaps prior learning assessment. You know, how many students do we have that are engaged in the prior learning assessment, especially with that becoming a trend that we see as we move completers through at a much faster rate. Dual enrollment is something else that I would want to have information on. Just looking at the data overall, it looks as though Shelton State specifically has more students. They're graduating more students in AAS degree programs than in the transfer Associate of Arts. And the strategic planning process, of course, is extremely important. I use college data every day to make decisions because that's real. And that tells you where you are so that you know where you're going. Just looking at retention, we can look at retention and see what resources are available at the institution already in place to address that. Success and completion often go hand in hand with retention, and that is something additionally that you would want to delve into. And looking at enrollment, I would want to look at programs. Are there any programs that do not have a fair amount of enrolled students? Do we have programs that are not graduating students? Are they passing licensure rates? Are they getting jobs? There are lots of things that I would need in addition to what's been handed here today to establish a vision and a strategic plan that aligns with that vision.
Okay. Very good.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay. You're certainly aware of the fact that there are a number of presidencies opened in this state and many more across the nation. We're
Sure.
just kind of at that point in our history as a nation. Why Shelton State, and why are you the right person to lead this institution?
Well, first of all, Shelton is home. Tuscaloosa is home to me. I'm from Livingston, Alabama. I've always been in Alabama, although my work has been concentrated in Mississippi. I have family who live here in Tuscaloosa, social friends. I am I work with different businesses here, and Shelton is a wonderful college. In addition to the incredible athletic programs that are here, there's a fantastic fine arts program. I've never seen anything like it, and that's something that I was able to see just a few moments ago as we walked through the theater. That is something to be very proud for. Why am I the right person to lead this institution? Well, I've been very successful in Mississippi. I've been very successful at East Mississippi Community College, impacting the institution in positive ways and the people and the community. I've moved through various levels of responsibility, from faculty, academic dean. I've been the dean of e-learning. I've been the administrator for delivery platforms such as Blackboard and Canvas. I've moved through institutional research and effectiveness, and am also the SACS liaison. Now, as the campus vice president, I'm responsible for everything from housing to discipline to the physical plant. It's all encompassing, and I have the knowledge and the leadership to do the job and do it well.
Okay. Very good. Thank you. As president, you learned that one of your deans has a side accounting and bookkeeping services business, and that the dean has been using college business office personnel to perform services for his personal business during the college workday from the college business office and using college equipment. The dean is the grandson of Foundation board member Johnson, who makes sizable scholarship donations. You further learn that the business office employees, both tenured and non-tenured, have assisted the dean out of fear of retaliation if they don't help. As you're considering how to address this situation, you receive a call from Foundation board member Johnson. During the discussion, the board member states that a well-respected business is interested in donating the newly established dual enrollment scholarship fund, is interested in donating to the newly established dual enrollment scholarship fund and directing scholarships to the college, and would appreciate your naming the new softball field after her father. How would you respond to these matters?
Well, these are different matters altogether. I'll address the first one. As far as the dean and his personal business and using college time and college materials as part of his business, well, that's a no-no. There are laws that prevent that type of activity, and that is something that would have to be addressed immediately. As for the employees who did help him out of fear of retaliation, that is a potential EEOC problem that needs to be addressed. That is something that does happen. We see that happen quite frequently. And as far as the foundation member Johnson, well, I would simply tell him, wonderful, thank you. We appreciate this donation, and that we will follow through with the proper protocol in naming the new softball field as in accordance with our policies. The naming of the softball field would not be my call ultimately. It would be the responsibility of the committee or whomever as designated by policy and procedures would be doing that. And I would let the foundation member Johnson know that we appreciate so much the donation and that we will follow up and go through usual protocol and naming the facility.
Very good. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
How many accreditation self-studies have you chaired, and on how many visiting teams have you served?
Well, I have not been the chair of the peer review committees, but I have served on many. in excess of 4. I have one scheduled this September, in fact. I have a lot of experience with SAC, COC, and serving as part of peer review process teams. In fact, I now serve on the SAC COC Board of Trustees, and I represent the state of Mississippi. I was elected to that post by the presidents in the state of Mississippi and have served as a trustee for 2 years now. I'm very, very familiar with SAC's policies and comprehensive standards. I am the institutional research and effectiveness person who has oversight over that and SACs for my current institution. And we submitted our 5th year report recently and had 0 findings.
Great.
When the findings, thank you, are usually between 15 to 17. But I have extensive experience with the accreditation process, using data and being able to analyze data to make data-driven decisions. And SACs is extremely important because without accreditation, then you limit access, of course, to federal funding, and it can shut the doors.
Very good. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
One of your top administrators comes to you with a recommendation for the termination of one of his subordinates. This is based on job performance going back several years. Around the same time, you are approached by a rather vocal member of the state legislature who tells you that she has received numerous complaints from constituents about a tenured member of the college's industrial maintenance faculty. The legislature tells you she believes you should terminate the instructor immediately. In reviewing these 2 employees' written performance evaluations, you note that they have all been satisfactory or slightly better, though you are told that both are actually substandard performers. On further inquiry to the college's HR director, you learn that less than candid performance evaluations have been the norm for the college for years. What issues do you see here, and what are your next steps?
I see several issues. The first being how performance evaluations are conducted. It is often an occurrence for which people do not evaluate employees honestly. And that's only hurting the employee and the institution, because the purpose of the performance evaluation, in my mind, is to help the employee improve. You want people to be successful. Therefore, one of the issues to address would be the performance evaluation process and how that's done across the board. The second issue is status. If you're talking about a staff member based on job performance, oftentimes staff and faculty are hired and fired based on different sets of criteria and different approval processes. So you've got to look at policy and due process for both of these. Thirdly, in looking at a review or a recommendation not to renew or rehire or to terminate, you've got to have documentation to back up the deficiencies that are explained as rationale for non-renewal or for termination. You've got to have paperwork to back that up. And if the paperwork doesn't support your recommendation, then you better be very, very careful in the steps that you take in doing that. So my first step is always to ensure there is paperwork. There's documentation that documents the deficiencies. There is documentation to show that the person has been informed of such deficiencies and given time for improvement. If such improvement did not occur, at that point, action may be taken. When it comes to faculty, faculty often have additional due process, whether it be with the board. I know in Mississippi, the staff members, like myself, work at the will and pleasure of the president. So we could be terminated at any time, whereas the faculty are approved and hired and terminated by the board. So there is a due process afforded to individuals. The main thing here is to be sure that you address the performance evaluation process with employees. Secondly, you make sure you have documentation to back up rationale for non-renewal or termination, and you take a look at policies regarding due process and the next steps.
Great, very good, thank you. During your first cabinet meeting as president, the college's workforce development dean informs you that a regional sheet metal production company has decided to relocate its primary production facility to the college's service area, and that as a part of the incentive package offered by the state's economic development team, the college must deliver technical training to the company's existing employees and provide a pipeline of 10 to 15 new sheet metal operators per year for the next 5 years. Complicating matters, the CFO here at the college was unaware of this commitment, and thus the college's budget does not account for the necessary increase in personnel and related costs in the college's technical division. So what would your thought processes be in analyzing these matters, and how would you address them?
Well, first of all, if an industry is going to relocate here, then they must be assured that they have trained workers. That makes a difference. In addressing that, the college is going to provide what they need. Now, the budget issue is something else altogether. I would look at the budget. I would determine from talking with individuals how much this training was going to cost our institution, and find money, find ways to offer this training, because it's really not optional with the role of the community college and the role that we play in workforce training and bringing in economic development. The CFO being unaware of the commitment, to me, that is a cabinet issue, a communication issue, and that is definitely something that you don't want to occur. Your CFO must be involved as part of your president's cabinet, because the money person, if not appropriate and up to speed on what's happening at the institution, well, that can close the doors as well. So your CFO has to be involved. They need to know what projects are in place or what projects are planned and the costs and what the impacts will be on the institution. As far as economic development and a new industry, well, yes, they need trained workers. Yes, we would provide those, and we would find a way to work through this particular issue so that those needs would be met without causing harm to our institution.
Very good, thank you. Okay, as a new president, you will likely be approached by many well-meaning faculty and staff offering advice and their perspective on the college, its history, and its future. Those perspectives will likely conflict with one another in that some will offer with the very best intentions in mind, while others will offer in furtherance of their personal agendas. As you move forward, how will you sift through and manage the varied suggestions you receive and make decisions in the best interest of your institution?
Well, This is a natural occurrence. With any new presidency, you're going to be approached by people who are wanting to push their agenda, some offering legitimate advice or concerns. The main thing is to listen to people. Listen to people, take notes, look at what the data shows. Look at data, talk to people in the community, talk to people in the institution, and in the end, work with your cabinet members, work with your team members, and come together to decide what decisions need to be made to move forward. You've got to know where you are first before you can move forward. So determine where you are and then make a decision, where do you want to go based on the information that you have, and then formulate a plan to move forward.
Just a follow-up question. Let's assume you had a particularly persistent individual who clearly was working on their own agenda. How would you address that? I
would let that individual know that I sincerely appreciate their input, and I would take note of what the individual said, and I would explain as a new president that I am seeking feedback from everyone, and I am making notes, and that I will be looking at the data and talking to people, and that at some point a decision will be made as the college moves forward, and that whatever they've suggested might be part of the moving forward, or it may not be. But that their input is very much appreciated and needed.
Very good. Thank you. The college's service area encompasses a vast geographic area with multiple needs. For instance, the college is located in the same city as the University of Alabama, as you know, a major transfer institution. At the same time, the college services neighboring counties with triple threat conditions: high poverty, high unemployment, and large number of adults without a high school diploma. Share with us your strategy for leading the college to respond to all of these needs.
Well, the college now offers both academic transfer, career technical programs. I noticed today that there are internal resources in place to address adult basic education, GED. There are resources in place like SOAR to provide access and opportunities to people who are not ready for college level work. And that's something that we see in every institution, I believe. In fact, I know in our own, approximately 70% of our students are required to take at least one remedial class. So remedial education is something that is on everyone's mind. Because some of the areas you have listed here are high poverty, high unemployment, large numbers of adults without a high school diploma, there are many opportunities for external funding sources. I know especially at the Fred campus with its status as HBCU, and there are always opportunities which exist amongst some of the threats or some of the issues that you might have that can be utilized to your advantage to help people advance and get that education. It's important to have strong relationship ties, for example, to the University of Alabama. You want to be able to grow relationships so that people in the communities know what opportunities are available and what funding sources do they have access to. Sometimes we have inside of our own institutions barriers that we never even thought about that exist that prevent people from accessing education or prevent graduation. Some that we've not considered, whether it may be the time that we offer a specific service, whether or not a specific fee is attached, a number of things. So you can look internally at some of the threats that you may have which prevent access, in addition to the external, and turn those around into opportunities.
Very good. Thank you. The college's Student Services Dean informs you that a local K-12 superintendent has told her that local school systems are being indirectly discouraged from endorsing programs to students and their parents, all of this associated with your college. What are your next steps?
My next steps would be to follow up with the K-12 institutions, educate them, find out what they believe the community college role is, what their perception of Shelton State is, and inform them regarding whether it's transfer. There are myths that float about for which people believe that community college classes will not transfer to the 4-year, and that is simply not true. So it's important to educate these institutions about our offerings. Well, my approach would be to go to those entities and talk to them, tell them what we have to offer, what we do, talk to the students, let them know that there are opportunities available, and that if you take advantage of these opportunities, then X is waiting for you at the end of the road in terms of salary or employment. People need to know that there is a direct benefit, and that it doesn't take long to reach your goal in doing that. So really education, talking, relationships built on trust and respect.
Very good. Thank you. Please share with us your process for developing a college's operating budget.
All right. At my institution, the way it works is that the President's Cabinet, which is composed of the various vice presidents for the college district-wide, we receive budgets for all of the departments for which we supervise. Now, it's up to the vice president to take it from that point forward. The way that I handle it is I like to meet face-to-face with all of my departments to review the budget and talk about some of the needs. You know, what do you need? What are the tools and resources that you need to get the job done? And in doing that, we plan for expansion, we plan for improving what we do, and that includes everything from a TriCaster for our media department so that we can broadcast in HD and stream live all of our athletics or any of our events. It may be purchasing a man lift for the physical plant so that we can clean gutters to prevent rotting fascia on the woodwork of the buildings and facilities. But I like to meet face-to-face with my departments to see, first of all, where we spent money, where we did not, where can we save money, where is it simply essential that we have resources, and what do you need to do the job and do the job well. That's the key. You don't want anyone to be set up for failure. And by providing resources that are needed, you know, people can be successful and happy in doing what they do. From my point, once I finish the budgets, then I turn the budgets over to the CFO. The CFO, the president, and myself go through all of the budgets and decide where cuts are made and ultimately who gets what. That includes the E&I budget. Once that's finished, it is presented to the Board of Trustees for approval. If there are questions there, then those are addressed at that time. And once the budget has been approved, then it's implemented the new fiscal year.
Good. Very good. Thank you. State Board of Education member Smith telephoned your institution to obtain the educational records of his granddaughter, Emma. Emma is 18 years old and enrolled in the welding program. Smith, who was elected from your district, has generously stepped in to pay the cost of Emma's education. Recently, he has voiced skepticism regarding a multi-million-dollar facility you would like to construct. But you think that through a series of meetings with him, you now have his support. Emma has signed a non-release agreement, and it's on file at your institution. After a few unsuccessful attempts to persuade the registrar's office to release the records, Smith went directly to the institution's chief instructional officer, a distant relative. At the direction of the dean, the documents were released. They contain not only Emma's grade history, but also the details of a now resolved hazing incident of which Emma was a participant earlier in the semester. When Emma learned of the release, she made an appointment to see you. So what do you see as the major issues in this scenario? How will you approach the meeting with Emma?
Well, the obvious issue is the FERPA violation. You know, especially if she signed a non-release agreement. I know at institutions, students often sign a release agreement, allowing parents to receive information on their student files. But in this case, it was a non-release agreement, and you know, the dean should have understood the FERPA guidelines and what was allowed and what was not allowed in this particular case. How will I approach the meeting with Emma? Well, I'll do my homework first to find out exactly what happened. I'll talk to the dean, I'll talk to the registrar, I'll talk to everybody that had any association with this particular case and find out the chain of events that led to the release of her records. And at that point, I will establish a meeting with Emma after I've prepared. I'll consult with the college attorney in this regard, especially since it was a FERPA violation, and arrange a meeting.
Good. Very good. Thank you. What strategies would you employ to identify and cultivate leadership within the college?
Oh, wow. Several strategies that I've used before. One, myself and a colleague established a continuous improvement team. The attempt was to bring people together so that everyone has a part and a role in continuous improvement at the college. We have people from every level, different departments, and those people are responsible for identifying issues within the college. You know, what are some issues that need to be addressed or fixed, and how can we move forward to address those issues? That has done more for camaraderie and morale and leadership than anything I can think of. Additionally, created an internal leadership class or program, if you will. Right now we have every year 10 people who are nominated to participate. It's called LEO, Leadership Through Everyday Opportunities. And it's leadership at every level. And we put these individuals through a rigorous program of leadership that lasts 1 year in length, and it involves everything from leadership skills to tour of business and industry. They go to the Capitol and meet with our representatives and senators. We go typically on Community College Day to advocate for funding for community colleges. It involves just about every aspect, and it's been really important. And the thing that we hear time and time again as feedback from these folks are, wow, I got to meet people and talk to people that I normally don't get to talk to. And people truly learn to lead if you give them the opportunity and the skills to do that. And I've seen individuals from this class that we teach that turn around and lead their own departments. For example, one of the things that I open the class with every year is a topic called the People Code. And I have the participants take an assessment to see what their inner core motive is. And based on that, we go into discussions and how that impacts leadership, and how most people are fired because they can't get along with other employees, relationship problems. And these things have truly made a difference in the institution, but more so in the lives of the people who work there. I mean, it's completely changed morale, it's empowered people, and it's a matter of determining what strategies are best for your institution.
Very good. Thank you. Mm-hmm. Just kind of a quick follow-up on a couple of things that you referenced, and you talked about the President's Cabinet and the team and so on. Tell me, if you became president, what would your expectation be of your cabinet, and what could they expect from you?
As president, my cabinet, as well as every other employee, can expect mutual respect, trust, honesty, and integrity. I would expect my cabinet to be trustworthy, because I would empower them. As you know, a president has many demands. Much of a president's time is in demand, and in order for the president to do more and do what they need to do, they can't micromanage people. Therefore, it's important that you have a knowledgeable, competent, trustworthy cabinet that can lead the institution day to day while keeping the president informed. That's extremely important.
Okay, very good. Mm-hmm. Thank you. Well, in closing, and I know this has been a little bit unusual, but in closing, I want to offer certainly my congratulations to you for making the finals.
Thank you.
It was a very competitive pool, and you should feel very good about that. And certainly thank you for your discussion over the last hour or so, and we certainly wish you luck the rest of the day.
Thank you. I appreciate it very much.
Thank you.